So I wanted to make this video for more than one reason. In the collision industry currently, we are faced with many challenges when these vehicles are being damaged or wrecked, whatever the case may be. Now we need to repair them back to factory spec, so we have a lot of things that are fighting us in doing so. Mainly what we run into is the use of aftermarket parts. A lot of times they don't fit correctly. Sometimes they don't fit at all. Other times they are not ID'd correctly for the vehicle we're working on, so they're not ID'd to the correct trim package and that sort of thing. We're dealing with a lot of safety inspection issues as well. So I made this video because there are certain guidelines that the manufacturers expected you to follow after the vehicles have been in an accident, and they loosely word these, but in other cases too, it's very, very black and white, and it's very specific, and it also is specific about whether it's a minor accident or if it's a accident that involves airbag deployment as well. And so there's a couple different sides of the coin. There's a lot of body shops that are not doing these at all because they don't know, or they lack the service information, or not staying current with the times. There's shops that know about them and they're not doing them at all, but they're expecting to get paid for them. And then there are shops that are following these guidelines as best as they can. They're accessing OEM service information. They're paying for this service information so that they can obtain the information based on the VIN number, the features that vehicle has, and they're making a determination of severity of the accident and how they're going to proceed as far as safety procedures go. So tonight I want to show you guys a steering column inspection on a GMC Sierra, 2020 GMC Sierra. So what we first do is, when we're going to work on this vehicle, we first input the VIN number. So we input the VIN number here. So that will bring us up. Now this is all data. Okay, this is all data. They do pull from GM service information, but it does lack stuff from time to time. But in this case, I've already recognized that this has what I need. And I'm going to show you how I go through deciding what I'm going to do with the information that I have. So to find these procedures, we're going to go into body and frame. Then we're going to go repairs and inspections required after a collision. So when you get to this screen, right now we're only going to be worried about the steering column inspection. So it wants to know if it has a front floor console, which this truck does not have a floor console. So it's without floor console. So does it have RPO code N33 or N37? So these RPO codes, they're production codes. The vehicle's made. They're 3 digits. There's a bunch of them. They are based on what options the vehicle does or does not have. So these are found in wiring diagrams. They're found in situations like this, because these vehicles come with different steering columns in them. So we have to be sure to pick the correct one because the measurements differ between the two. So we know for a fact that it has no floor console. So this has like a bench style seat with a flip up console. So we know that for sure. So over here on repairlinkshop.com is a free resource, free website that you can use. So we entered the VIN number into this website, which is linked with General Motors. So this is the build sheet for the truck. And you can see all these 3-digit codes here. Those are all the RPO codes. So to find these easily, okay, so we have to see if it has N33 or N37. So we're going to do Control F on the screen. We're going to type in N33. I have zero results for N33, so I'm going to put in N37. And you can see here it does have N37 steering column, tilt, and telescoping. So that's how we make the determination that it does not have a front floor console and is an N37. Okay, so next, next, this is the procedure. So basically has you remove the steering column from the vehicle. So we're taking it all apart. We're taking the entire steering column apart. So this is the procedure. Taking it right out of the vehicle, removing the steering lock. So this is the whole procedure. So here is the inspection procedure. So they want you to take a measurement of B right here. This is the end of the column where the steering wheel bolts on. So they want that to be 58 millimeters. It must not be less than 58 millimeters. So the way I read that is if you get 58 millimeters or more, then you're okay. Also, measurement from this point of the steering column to this point of the steering column, which they're calling A. So the end to end. So this is why it is required to strip the steering column in its entirety down to the base column, so that you can take an accurate measurement of this length here. And they do not want that to be less than 506 millimeters. Okay, so knowing that, I'm going to bring you back to a page. Let me go back to this page. Second. So this is the page right here. It's almost a chart, like a kind of how to and what to do. So this is a whole checklist of items they want checked. So if you look at this column over here, if it exceeds minor outer body panel cosmetic distortion without airbag deployment. So this is when the bags don't go off. And the way I take this is if it's more than a couple of dents, you know, like more than a scratch in your bumper or a dent in your door. Like if we exceed cosmetic damage and we have some sort of structural damage, maybe a frame rail bracket is bent, maybe, you know, there's a bend to the apron or the core support. That is when we're going to call this exceeds minor outer body panel cosmetic distortion. So in that situation, they want you to inspect the steering wheel airbag, steering column. And when it says inspect the steering column, it wants you to refer to the steering column accident damage inspection. So that is the section that we were just in. It also wants you to look into the impact sensors as well. And it wants you to replace them if the area of accident damage is defined as a portion of the vehicle which is crushed, bent, or damaged due to a collision. If the impact sensor or the mounting structure of the impact sensor is damaged, the impact sensor must be replaced. So we're not going to go through all these right now, but these are all items that you could you would be expected to check out after an accident. And as you can see here, this is just General Motors, and this is a pretty big list when the airbags don't deploy and when the vehicle exceeds minor cosmetic damage. So a lot of stuff here. There's a lot to check out. Another reason why we do pre and post scans, we can catch some modules from the airbag module, but we can cover this at another time. If anybody's interested in me covering this at another time, I have no problem doing that. But right now I want to get back to the steering column. So in this situation, we have an N37. But I wanted to show you guys that if I were to choose N33, and I want to show you why the RPO code is super important. Hold on 1 second. So if you remember what we came up with for measurements before, you'll notice that the front shaft here is the same 58 millimeters, but if you look at the entire steering column shaft, 530 millimeters. So that is quite a bit different just by having a different RPO code, so a different steering column installed. So another thing I wanted to note too is that when you do take this column out and measure it, it is asking you to have it's asking you to have it in the fully telescoped inward position, so fully collapsed. And there's another section here With the tilt adjustment lever unlocked, actuate the steering column in the radial and axial directions. The measurement cannot be greater than 4 millimeters. So if the steering column doesn't meet these specifications, the steering column is damaged. Discard the damaged steering column and install a new steering column. So if the steering column does meet the specifications, we're going to reinstall that and put it all back together. So right now I'm going to cut to a video of me removing the column. I'm going to show you guys how I measure it. I use a tram gauge. My tram gauge from DentFix does not go low enough to make a digital measurement. So what I do is I take the two cross tips and I measure them with a digital tape and also a tape measure in millimeters to measure it that way. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you have any questions about steering column inspections or about repairs required after a collision, I'll do my best to answer. Just put them in the comments below. And yeah, any questions or anything like that, comments below. And I appreciate any feedback, good or bad. Thank you.